We have Bryan back in here talking about some more incredibly rare Art Deco wristwatches, and there's a couple of super interesting pieces in here. Thanks for coming back, Bryan.
Sure, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. First watch I want to show today is a Meadowbrook. It's from 1929. Normally this watch is 14 karat white or 14 karat yellow. This particular example is solid platinum. And Hamilton made 17 of these. So this is one of 17. There are about 6 of these known. So there's 10 or 11 out there somewhere we don't know about.
Do you think there's with some scrapped ones in there?
You know, I don't know. This kind of watch, you pick it up and look at it and you think, God, there's something special about this watch. It's heavier than a normal watch. And I think for that reason, probably a lot of them survived. Wow. They were super expensive when they came out. They were could only be afforded by wealthy people.
Yeah.
So in 1929, this watch was $360.
Crazy.
And if you bought it with a platinum buckle, it was $400.
Incredible.
So that's why Hamilton probably was only able to sell 17 of them.
And that would be considered like a cushion style case.
Cushion style case, yeah. This was one of the first watches that Hamilton named after something rather than just based on the shape of the case. So the earliest Hamilton watches were cushion, square, barrel, tonneau, based on the shape of the case. They didn't really have any sort of interesting or kind of names of a lot of cachet to them. But starting with the Meadowbrook, Hamilton began naming their watches after, in this case, country clubs. So Meadowbrook Country Club is in New York, it's on Long Island. Hamilton named a number of their watches after country clubs, or like the Piping Rock is a country club.
Is there any notable owners, since they're kind of scarce and they're pretty expensive, that anybody knows of?
I'm not sure I understand you.
Notable owners, like, because in a sense there's some engraving on it.
There is, and yeah.
Anybody? Yeah.
And actually, this one's dated 1929, and I looked up even though it's only got initials for the person who received it, and initials from the organization that presented it, I actually deciphered it at one point, but I can't remember
what
it was. It was an advertising agency, maybe in New York.
Okay.
They presented it to one of their employees. That's what I remember.
The encyclopedia has limits.
It does, yeah. I do every once in a while forget something. The next one I have is a Hamilton Gordon. This is a somewhat common watch for Hamilton. Normally the Gordon came in 18 karat solid gold. Very popular, used for corporate presentations. You see a lot from Texaco and other organizations. This particular example is in platinum with a diamond dial. And Hamilton made a little over 50 of these for the Plymouth Oil Company of Houston, Texas in the early 1950s.
And you mentioned, I think when we were talking before, you said a lot of the oil companies would just float, like...
Sure, in the early 50s, the money, they were drilling, doing a lot of exploring here and in South America, and the money was just pouring in. So when they wanted to do something really nice for their employees, they would call Hamilton and order something extra special. Not just a regular Gordon with a corporate presentation, but a Gordon platinum with a diamond dial.
Do you notice with like some of these low production watches, especially, they're almost regionally purchased because you said a lot of them went to the oil company, so it would almost be more in like the Texas area?
Well, yeah, a lot. You see a lot from Texas. You see a lot of Texaco, a lot from Gulf, and Plymouth also, especially from the 1950s and 60s.
Yeah. This
is another watch, even out of the 54 or so that were made, I know of probably 6 or 7.
Wow.
So again, it's got, Grandpa's name on the back, Plymouth Oil, it's heavy, it's got diamonds on it. Watches like this tended to get saved and not scrapped.
That's pretty interesting, actually, yeah.
This next example is a Hamilton Bradford, also in platinum. The Bradford was also a very popular watch for corporate presentations. You see tons of them that are engraved on the back to an employee for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. In the catalogs, the Bradford is shown in 14 karat white gold, 14 karat yellow gold, with a regular dial and with a diamond dial. But this example is platinum. And it's the only platinum Bradford known to exist.
One of one, huh?
One of them, as far as we know, yeah. And it doesn't have a presentation on the back, so I don't know the occasion of why it was produced and sold.
Somebody wanted to spend some money, right?
Somebody else wanted to spend some money, that's right.
What style lugs are those?
I don't know, what would you call that? They're stepped.
Stepped, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like some sort of like stepped flared lug?
Yeah, I would say stepped and flared, that's a good way to put it.
One question actually comes to mind on these two, especially the platinum cases. How hard is it to get crowns when a crown disappears?
Well, these two watches probably came just white gold fill crowns.
Oh, okay.
Simple white gold fill crowns. Yeah.
So they never really produced crowns only for...
They did. Now, I'll take that back. On the Gordon, the other platinum watches that Hamilton made at the time that the Gordon was produced were the Rutledge and the Cambridge. Those watches came with platinum filled crowns. So you'll see them, they'll have a brushed appearance to them. They're different than the regular white gold filled crowns.
And I guess those are at a premium.
They are, when you find one, that's correct. Now the Meadowbrook came with a platinum crown.
Wow.
And this one has its original platinum crown.
That makes it extra.
It is, it does, yeah. Because that's one of the first things that wears out or falls off and gets lost. Yeah.
Some watchmaker says, oh, it's fine, just throw a crown in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.